Hey, what's up? This is Christian S. Valentino.
What's up, fellas? This is Ryan JAUNZEMIS. Oh, shit. Dude. We're here live on the roof of the parking structure at Town Square in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so today we were actually talking a lot about how both of us got into this whole journey of pickup, personal development, and kind of what was the start. So Ryan, I don't know, what was kind of your process of what got you into this whole realm of discipline of personal development and pickup specifically?
Honestly, it was a pretty... I feel like fate, for some reason, had a lot to do with it, honestly. When it was 2006, it was right after the divorce that I went through, after I got kicked out of the United Kingdom. And I was playing around on MySpace, actually. And in my MySpace inbox, there was actually a letter from David D'Angelo. He's a dating guru, and he gives like advice and relationship advice. And you guys that don't know who that is, but anyway, it was like I felt like he kind of had targeted me because I had put all these like depressing posts. You know, I was going through I was emotionally distraught after losing my kids, and I half-assed slit my wrist. I was going through just really tough times emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. And then I saw this email that was just like, I don't know, it's like 8 secrets to attracting women. And I had been going out like night after night in Las Vegas, going to bars and nightclubs, and I didn't really know how to approach people. I wasn't that like before when I was sponsored by soap, I was going on tour. I had girls coming to me. I didn't have to.
You had that social proof and authority built in already.
Yeah, I didn't have to do work for it. I just had girls coming to me, and now all of a sudden I was this 26-year-old guy who was single in a new city. I didn't know anybody out here. I was living in the fucking ghetto on that side of town, on the west side, on Sahara and Decatur. So just living in a shitty, roach-infested fucking apartment, and it was tough. There was no water, there was no power. I was just going through all these struggles. And I get this email, and I was like, oh, how to attract women. I thought it was a joke at first. But I was sitting there reading it, and I was like, I think there's something to this. Right. So basically over the next couple weeks, I ended up just kind of perusing around the Barnes & Noble over on that side of town, and I discovered the self-help section. And I'd been kind of reading self-help books and stuff since I was little, but not the types of books that I got into later at this point in my life.
Sure.
And I always wanted to be a great seducer. My first self-help book, I guess, was this book called The Art of Kissing by William Kane, and I stole it from a Crown Books when I was 16. It was like 1995. I was 15.
Okay.
And because I wanted to be just like, I wanted to be good with women back then. I wanted to be like a great lover, I wanted to be able to...
The ultimate player.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Before it was even called that.
Right.
Anyway, I started reading all these self-help books, and first I got into this one book that was called The Definitive Book of Body Language by Barbara and Alan Pease.
Okay.
And it was weird because reading this book, it started talking about there's ways that you can read people's behavior. Basically, it said like the words that we speak is only 7% of our communication. The vocal tonality is 38%.
Right.
But then the actual the body language, the way you're standing, whether my hands are in my pockets or not, or whether my chest is out and my exposing my neck, little things like that display confidence in a person. And it said you can learn more about what a person is really saying by understanding what they call body clusters. So for example, if I was talking to someone and maybe their hand was behind their back and their feet were crossed and they were kind of looking off, maybe they're telling me I don't know what they did yesterday, but most likely they're lying because the incongruency, yeah. Right. And so after reading through this book, I just tore through it, and on fate, I just kind of believed what I was reading, and I went to this party, and there was this hot fucking blonde 18-year-old chick named Katie there with her boyfriend. And it was so weird because she's already in a relationship, but basically I just used the alpha male behavior techniques that were in this book and the stuff that I've been reading from David D. And it basically, I forgot what happened, but basically the boyfriend had said something to me, and then I got in his face, and I was like, you haven't lived this life, or you don't have the experience that I have. And basically I just like
dominated.
Yeah. And she saw it, and she started talking to me, and then it was weird because at that time I wouldn't have felt like that I was worthy of a girl like that hot, but her foot was facing towards me, and the way she was talking to me, like the fact that her neck was exposed was like, see, we're not on a green screen this time. The fact that her neck was exposed, and like the cluster that she was exuding was everything in the book that displayed that she was interested in me. And in the book it basically says you're supposed to mirror that back. So I put my foot facing her, and then they call this like framing the genitals. Basically it's like kind of using your fingers to point, like, or they call it a cowpoke stance or something. And so I was standing towards her, returning the gesture, and they call it mirroring.
Right.
And I just felt this chemistry, this spark. And needless to say, long story short, I ended up spending the night at her house. We ended up making out all night, got drunk, and then when we kind of sobered up the next day, we ended up having sex. She dropped her boyfriend, we became boyfriend and girlfriend, and like after that, I just everything else that was going on in my life, I was like, fuck it, like I need to find out more about this stuff. And since then, I've tore through over 2,500 different self-help books. I've now written over 50 different books myself and published several of them. Not all of them are for the general public yet. Some was just like, because I got into becoming a dating and relationship coach myself after that, from like learning all these techniques. And then it was weird because a lot of friends of mine, they started seeing me do better with women. They started seeing me with girls. They would kind of make fun of me, say like, she's a little out of your league, but how did you do that? And I was like, well, I learned these techniques. And they were like, well, what techniques? And I said, well, I can't really, it was weird because you can't really tell someone the techniques if they don't understand the psychology behind it as to why it works. So,
because even if you tell them, they're like, there's no way that works, because in their mind, like they don't understand the why. So the technique of what you're doing, it makes no sense. There's just no context.
Exactly. Like they would ask, like, well, what's the pickup line? What do I say? And I'm like, it doesn't have to do with what you're saying. It's more about where you're saying it from and who you are. What's your character as a man? What do you represent? What do you stand for? And they're like, that's just way over their head.
Right.
So anyway, I got on fucking PowerPoint, and I started making these little presentations of like what I had learned with body language and what I had learned from with David D. I ended up spending $3,000 in cash of my own money. I bought all of his products. It was called like Mastery with Women in Dating, how to pick up women in bars and clubs, how to pick up girls online. It was all these different little programs.
Right.
And that introduced me to this guy, they call him Mystery in the seduction community.
Right.
And he has all these techniques, and basically he breaks down how to pick up girls by using pie charts and algorithms and fucking graphs. And for the nerd inside me, I was hooked. I was like, oh my god, like this is what I want to do when I grow up. I want to teach this same stuff. And but I didn't want to just kind of like copy their stuff. I wanted to find out what does it really work.
Right.
So I was out there
for yourself.
Exactly. So I would get out in the field, they call it out, just in real life, and I would basically try every fucking technique, and if it worked once, it was like cool, but I want to make sure it works 10 different times. And some of the stuff that some of the gurus, they call them self-help gurus, dating gurus, some of the stuff, like for example, there's this guy that wrote this book called The Art of War for Dating, and like 90% of what's in that book is all bullshit. Like he talks about never approach a girl at a bar because she's waiting for a boyfriend, and at least in Las Vegas, that's not true. If she's at the bar, she's waiting to be picked up, and she's probably the number one target to approach. So some of these guys,
well, yeah, like even that statement, like, oh, don't, that's already like a limiting belief. That's almost like an excuse a lot of guys use not to approach. Like, oh, I'm not going to approach because, you know, the boyfriend might be around the corner. So yeah, like that premise is already like, it's all just a huge limiting belief.
Exactly. And so I wanted to like debunk a lot of these theories and philosophies that weren't like so true. That's how I ended up coming up with this. I have this new #1 best-selling book called 10 Steps to Success, and basically, I have bragging rights to the material in the book because none of it's mine. It's like from the 2,500 books that I read, I basically boiled down all of the best techniques that I felt worked that stepped my game up astronomically, and that's how I created that book. So it's basically I just took all the stuff that worked and I put it in it.
You synthesize it.
Synthesize it like that, and that I took away all the stuff that I found didn't work.
Right.
But anyway, now here I am now, like just living that life. I ended up meeting the love of my life, who I was together with for like 2 years. It didn't work out because she didn't want kids and I did, and so like our paths kind of just crossed. But to actually attract the exact, not just a random girl, not just going up. A lot of these PUA guys, they just go out and they just approach. They call it approaching sets, talking to different girls, and sometimes they get lucky, and that's cool. But like, I've come to the point where it's not just like getting lucky. It's more like arbitrarily choosing a particular girl, applying the techniques, and bringing her into your life, not just for sex, but for a loving, meaningful relationship, if that's what you want. So it's just like, just coming from where I was 10 years ago to in 2006 to now 2016, where like, I could go out and, someone could be like, go pick up that girl. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm gonna fuck her, but most likely I can use the techniques and create some kind of relationship. Me and her might end up becoming friends. We might end up becoming lovers, or also not only, I don't know, it's not just about sex for me. It's more like on a, let's say like a scarcity versus abundance mentality or mindset. Some guys are just like, well, she's hot, fuck her. But I'm not like there. I'm more like, I've been there, done that on the terms of quantity.
Right.
Now I'm more on quality, and it's not unlikely for me to go out and I can see a hot girl, start talking to her, but then listening to what she says, she just may not be someone I want to emotionally invest my time, effort, and energy into. So I'm even to the point now where I can say no. Like, I'm not interested in this girl because I'm worth a lot more than maybe what she's offering, and I'm going to go for exactly what I want.
Right, so you don't have to kind of cut yourself short or like lower your standards, because you have standards, you know what you want. You don't have to, just be satisfied with whatever comes, even though if she's hot or whatever. Like, yeah, because even for me, I've noticed that I will, approach certain girls and they can be gorgeous or whatever, but maybe if certain areas of their life really fucked up, and like I don't want to be dragged into that drama.
Exactly.
So it's not worth my time and energy.
I feel like as hot as some girls are, there's some guy out there who's tired of her bullshit, and she's not perfect. A lot of guys, they look at girls like she's a fucking, like she's a shine, like she's the sun, like she's everything. The sun, the moon, and the stars. And it's more like, after you've been with so many different girls, you start realizing like the exterior is just kind of like the Matrix, and you got to learn how to see through it, because no matter how hot she is, like there's still always going to be another girl who's nicer to you, who's going to treat you better, and is going to be more like the actual personality, character that will complement you better.
Right.
That's at least in my experience what I felt.
It's good.